When last we saw you guys, you were running through a tunnel for your GD lives from the drow. You took a couple turns, you were going down a passageway, hightailing it as fast as you could, and in one such fork in the road, you took a left. Clearly, it wasn't the right choice, but who knows if to the right would have been a better choice. You got there, you started making your way through another passageway, and then all of a sudden, boom, the floor falls out from beneath you. And you all fell, this great silent screaming scene, all of you, boom, 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 for a long ass time. And then we awoke to a scene of all of your bodies piled, smashed against these large tubers in this small, bioluminescent lit room where the bodies of Topsy and Turvy, your deep-known friends, start rising off as something emerged from beneath the detritus of your fall. However, when you guys wake up, you notice a few different things. Firstly, the smell hits your noses almost immediately. It's a almost sickly sweet smell. Have you guys ever smelled like rotted fruit, like an apple or something like that? It's got like that sweet, almost pungent smell to it, kind of a deal. You smell that, but with oddly like this weird kind of spicy smell to it as well, and it just kind of immediately assaults your noses. And it's not overpowering, but it's definitely incredibly strong. The other thing you notice is that you are lying down on what feels like an incredibly soft, plush bed. But as your eyes open and you start to look around, you see that you are in a small cavern, probably about 15 by 10 feet. And as you look, you see yourselves and your companions scattered about, laying on the tops of these large mushrooms. Their caps a light brown, and it feels like you're laying on top of like a downy comforter almost. You feel it kind of shift beneath your weight as you start to stir. And as you start to look around more of the room, some of the most impressive things that you notice is that there's these very long tube-like fungi growing about the room in different corners and even around some of the stalks of these mushrooms that you find yourself sitting and laying upon. And they range from anywhere from about a foot to about 10 feet tall, and they exude this beautiful green-yellow light from the stalks, and it just fills the room with this soft glow. You hear soft humming and clicking as you see all about you numerous small insects moving about on the small cavern floor, entering and exiting to holes you see in about the wall, ceilings, and the ground. Some of them even very lightly skittering over you, but none of them harming you or biting you. You see centipedes, you see small spiders, you see odd beetles that you've never noticed before. You see various different types of ants, all sorts of stuff. However, the next thing you hear is something larger that seems to be approaching, and as you're kind of waking up and looking about, you look to your right and you see that there's a kind of a mouth that leads into a tunnel, and you hear these larger steps coming from in there. What do you guys do? I will say, however, as the last mention here, Lara and Indigo do not see Sephel in this room.
But all the other Everybody else?
Yep.
There?
You see Bupido, you see Topsy, Turvy, you see Sarith, you see Stool, and you see Eldith. But no Sephel.
Okay. So I imagine Lara wakes up and I'd like to well, wake Indigo up. Indigo, are you with us?
Yep. Wow. Wow, look at all these bugs. These are great.
We are missing someone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Indigo, we're missing someone. Who are we missing?
The old one. The
Sephel, we're missing Sephel.
Yeah. Oh, do you hear that? Is somebody coming?
Can we make like a perception?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Ooh. 18.
Nice. 18, okay.
And dirty 20 from Indigo.
Dirty 20, okay. Excuse me. You hear what definitely sounds like footsteps, but they don't sound like typical humanoid footfalls. You're able to discern that much. It sounds like something that's got some decent heft to it. And you hear what sounds kind of like... You know what I really wish I could do? I wish I could insert, like, the predator clicking growl noise. Because that's essentially what you are hearing.
Ooh.
And you start to see a shadow of something decently large coming through that cave opening. What do you guys do?
I would like to move to some cover. Maybe try to hide real quick. If there's anywhere that could kind of like shelter my form.
Sure, yeah.
You've
got all these different mushrooms in these large, bright fungi, kind of illuminating the room. You can definitely try to hide. Go ahead and roll stealth.
Before Lara hides, she will indicate to the other 5 NPCs like a finger to the mouth and then like a hand. She would probably use like military signals, like the fist up, kind of thing, or whatever is the equivalent in this fantasy realm, and then kind of indicate to everyone to be quiet.
Okay.
I rolled a 5 on that stealth check.
Ooh, nice. What do you got for me, Lara?
I've got a 4.
A 4? Oh, jeez, on crow. So you signal to the others as both you and Indigo go to slide off these mushrooms to find some cover, and you just like, boom, hit against the ground, and like there's some shuffling of your stuff. You're like, fuck. But the others manage to rouse some of the more drowsy ones, and they slowly skitter, and as you guys kind of like edge back towards a group of those like yellowish green stalks, you kind of run behind them, and as you do and you actually make contact with them, their light actually fades from the stalks and the room grows a little bit darker. And from this tunnel comes probably the oddest creature you've seen yet. It stands about 7 feet tall and bears a somewhat humanoid bearing. But what you see is very much not human. It has a white and red-colored carapace, a beetle-like shell sprouting from its shoulders and across its back. You see several small mandibles moving where traditionally you'd see your own lips sitting upon your face. And above it, in this chitinous-plated face, you see 3 small openings upon the left and the right, in which you see 3 black eyes sitting on either side. From atop this same plated face, you see what looks like 2 large antlers that grow up. And towards the top of them, you see this discoloration. It kind of turns from this pale white into a deeper red color. And you see what looks like holes and fungus growing upon the top. And you see more of the small bugs that you see moving about the room moving into these holes and these spots, resting atop these horn-like protrusions. And across the top of the shoulders on this shell-like form, you see more of this discoloration and these holes that actually enter into what looks like the body, and more insects growing into it. You see that it has 2 large arms that end in 3-fingered hands and a pair of tough, bent-backed, insectoid-like legs. As it enters in, you see it kind of come to a halt and look about the room, and you just hear this. What languages do Lara and Indigo speak?
Common, Elvish, and Goblin.
Okay.
I only speak Common and Celestial.
Yeah, you guys don't recognize what this language is, but go ahead and roll me either a Arcana or a Insight check, I will say, to kind of figure out what this language could be.
It's a 6.
6? You have no idea. You never heard it.
Got a 15 on Insight.
Okay. You think that it's speaking some kind of primordial. I see Brendan shaking his head. Is that something that Sephel speaks?
I figured it was one of 2 languages given where we were, and Sephel speaks both of them.
Well, don't you worry. Don't you worry. So you see this large creature come in. It's holding what looks like kind of this weird, gnarled-looking staff. Indigo, you recognize it as the same type of material that a lot of the furniture was made out of in Velkenveld. And this creature starts to kind of walk about the room, and you can actually tell... Andrew, did you roll Insight or did you roll Arcana for that, by the way?
Insight.
Okay. You can actually tell that it looks distressed looking about the room, and it seems to be looking for you. But it comes over to the no longer illuminating fungi that you guys are behind, and it actually makes contact with it and like peers around, and it illuminates again at the contact of this creature, and it spots you two, and then eventually the others, and once again you hear this looks like it's trying to speak with you, and it kind of takes a step back from you all, and then go ahead.
Hello. Hello, and Indigo will give like a broad, friendly wave.
Alara's in a combat position. She's ready.
Kind of backs away and kind of like waves one of its 3-fingered hands forward, like as in like come with me, come out.
I have a great feeling about this, guys. And Indigo will step forward.
Indigo and Lara's gonna grab the back of Indigo's shirt.
Okay.
I think we should consider what is happening here before we just leave our shelter.
Well, of course, but I think our newest friend here, I think he tends these shrooms down here. He seems to know a lot about them. He looked very concerned when he didn't see us, so I think really he's just looking for, maybe some companionship. Maybe it's very lonely down here.
We can't leave it. We can't leave until we know Sephel isn't down here anyway.
Well, maybe.
But I don't trust this.
Maybe they know where Sephel is.
You hear Sarith actually pipe up since they were close to you, and this is the drow that escaped with you guys, and he goes, "This, if I'm correct, is something very, very old. It's a coal terrid, an ancient insectoid-like people that were once a type of and he's kind of like fumbling and stuttering over his words. Guardians of the Underdark before my people came. And once again, you see the creature kind of beckoning you out.
What is your read on this, Sarith? Is this a good idea?
I couldn't say. From what I know of my people's histories, it might not take too kindly to me, as my people kind of pushed it to the brink of existence. We haven't seen them in thousands of years.
Indigo, are you able to communicate with this creature and ask for safe passage? Or I imagine that Lara is like torn right now between one, watching this creature, but also like trying to look around, like the first Sephel, like is he under a mushroom? Like,
make another perception check for me.
Okay, that is a 17.
Okay, you don't see Sephel in here. However, you do see their staff, and you do see their bag leaning against one of the walls.
Oh, that's not good.
Maybe they went to the bathroom, and this kind ancestral guardian showed them to the privy.
I would like to walk over to the... Wait, is the staff in that still undercover? Or the... If I go to it?
Yeah, it's just leaning up against an open wall. As you like get up to go and approach it, the Colterid, this insectoid person, actually like backs away from you to give you space and just watches you go over to Sephel's things.
Okay. Yeah, I will slowly walk over to it. I would like to bend over and kind of like watch the 7-foot individual, and like kind of indicate to the stuff, and then point back at him, and then point back to the stuff, as in like, have you already been here? I'm trying to like communicate.
Sure. Make a because you're using the hand gestures, I'm going to give you a little bit of a bonus, but make a persuasion check here.
Okay. 5.
Okay. It doesn't seem to quite put two and two together of what you're trying to say. But it does, you see it kind of like bring one of its 3 fingers, one of its hands to its face, and kind of like pause at it like a person would when they're contemplating something. And then you see they kind of bring the hand down, and you see the mandibles moving in a different way. And Indigo, you recognize it as it starts to speak again, is a very garbled Elvish. And
nice.
The creature says, hello. I mean no harm. You see the mandibles actually kind of like seizing as they're trying to form different shapes. Clearly, this language isn't necessarily native or even natural for it to speak.
Actually, I will respond in Elvish. Oh, great. Hello. Hi, I'm Indigo. This is my friend Lara. Have you seen an elderly figure? Many wrinkles. His name is Sephel. He's like a little scrunched up.
Friend is sick.
Yeah, he is rather sickly. Do you know where
Indigo,
he is?
he knows?
He seems to know, yeah.
Kept safe. Changing. Flesh moving.
Phew, see, I'm not entirely sure what he said that time, Laura. It's something about, Sephel's oldness. I think he's trying to help. So I'm sure we follow this fine gentleman.
I fucking hate
lives
you
right
guys. I just have to sit here fucking quietly while you shit all over my appearances.
Oh, God.
He is a respectable man of elder years who carries himself in a very dignified fashion, who just happens to have some wrinkles of the flesh.
And
y'all are inconsiderate.
And a marked propensity against myconids, so, you know.
And for that, he will suffer.
Upon hearing that he definitely knows where Sephel is, Lara's going to shoulder the bag and grab the staff, and then she'll just turn back to the group. Well, clearly Sephel would never have left his feathers behind. I think we need to hurry up and. Sareth, if you're not comfortable, then I suggest that you stay in the back and we'll do what we can. But Indigo, lead the way.
All right. Indigo gives you a big toothy grin and 2 thumbs up and begins to follow our new Colothrid friend.
Okay. Yeah, you see that Sareth indeed does kind of linger towards the back of the group, but Bupido and Eldith, actually, they like come up right behind you guys. And you can see Eldith is like curious and kind of disgusted, while Bupido just seems to be rather wary, and he's kind of like frantically looking about the place. You see the twins are just kind of like slinked back, giving a little bit of distance, and Sareth is not too far behind, but the Coulterids, seeing you guys kind of gather together here, they kind of gather your intention and start to turn around. And as they do, they start walking out of the cavern, and you hear that same bad Elvish returning, echoing back over to you. And it says, "Do you know my people?"
No. And Indigo is going to pull out his book and wet his quill. But I would be just ever so happy to learn if you'd be willing to tell us a few things.
We are Coulterid. The butchered name of my people, given by the dark elves. And as he starts talking, you guys exit out into this tunnel, and all of a sudden your vision is just exploded open, because you are in a massive massive chamber, probably a few 100 feet long by 100 or so feet wide, and all about you, you see flora that you have never seen in your lives. And it's bright everywhere. You see those same yellow stalks. You see these large mushrooms that grow up to 40 feet tall, looking like trees almost. You see these ones that look like large barrels, and you actually see a spore or like this ball-like thing fall from one of the massive shrooms, and as it does and it hits the ground, it just explodes, and you see fresh water erupt from it. You see these green mushrooms that kind of grow off the side of the cavern wall, forming like a canopy, providing shade against all the other bioluminescent stalks here. And this creature continues, and it says, "We were once the deep guardians and guides of the good insectoid world. We kept the deep earth clean and safe, guided their lives, kept a flourishing, moving earth until the arrival of tentacled ones and the dark elves. They hunt us, butcher us, push us away. We lose track of the great diggers, the cultivators of the earth, the large worms, givers of larger life. We forced to be here, retreat, hide, preserve ourselves. You are first in many molting cycles since new life I have seen." And they actually stop and they turn and look at you. Recognize their species. And he's pointing at the twins and looking at Sareth. "Your kind hunters of mine." But you don't hear any animosity in it, surprisingly. And then it looks at Bupito and it goes, "Twisted by tentacled ones. Poor beings. We have waited many years, many cycles, trying to outlive the Dark Ones, hoping to rise and tame this once beautiful land. Many do not make it, though. Something powerful has corrupted our magics. Something prevails over this chamber and other parts. I feel it. They speak to me." And you see he has like an insect crawling up on his hand, and it's like waving, and it's an antennae at him. And they turn at you and they go, "Might be all that's left." And all the two of you make a perception check here. Good lord.
Damn. Well, I rolled a gold fashion natural 1, but it's still a 7, I guess.
Okay. Wow. Guys. I bet Brendan's over there just like, "Yeah, I rolled a nat 20. It's cool. It's fine. Just can't play right now." It's okay. It's for story purposes, everybody. I'm a storyteller. That's what I do. I'm excited for this upcoming stuff. And that beautiful finger, if only this was live. Thank you. So, as you guys are looking around, it's not hard to miss, actually. You notice it first, Indigo, and then you kind of draw Lara's attention and the others. You see all about this cavern. In all the walls, you see these small cave-like openings. And in them, you see the husk-like forms and mottled broken shells of creatures that look very close to this one. Some appearing in slightly different like forms, not so much beetle-like, but more like cricket shaped, and some that look like a great horned beetle, and all sorts of different kinds and shapes. But you see that so many of these are either dead or lie empty. And so basically what they describe to you is that they tended the Underdark, and it was once this beautiful place until the drow came, and some other race that he's referred to as the Tentacled ones that started pushing back the culturids and killing them off until these peaceful creatures who kind of, cultivated the world, provided new life underneath it to grow, were forced back, and then they performed some kind of ritual to preserve themselves here in hiding. But he was awoken, and he actually says this to you guys. My shell was broken from your fall. I have now woken. Might be too late. Magics might have lasted too long on me. Delayed my time with the people. Your friend. And you guys are slowly approaching the other end of the cavern. Is showing great struggle. Great change. Something under the flesh moves. Not seen this before.
Well, thank you for taking care of our friend, and sorry we woke you up by phoning you. We really didn't mean to, but we took a wrong turn, I think.
If you had not come and broken my shell, I may never have woken. This is fine. And as he says this, he stops, and you see what looks like a newly coated opening in different pieces of like large chitinous shell and very thick spider webs. And they actually hold out their hand, and a couple of spiders come off, and you see tink, 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 them cutting and like removing some of the spider webs. Gaze upon your friend. Be warned. Do you guys look in?
Yes.
Oh man, I love it.
If Lara's, I'm assuming here that Indigo is like relaying everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And Sareth is too, as they
like,
speak Elvish as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I'm taking notes as I go, and every time and then they went to a magical coma for many years. Oh man.
Y'all looking.
Okay. Brendan, I made you wait a long time. And you're going to have to wait a moment more as we enter in to a scattered vision. we see or hear, firstly, footsteps, soft footsteps, as they walk through an echoing hall. And our vision kind of opens up into this dully lit cavern walkway. We see purple glass encased flame lighting the way, though clearly you have no trouble, as you can see deeper beyond than even what the lights can show you. We see your vision shift down, and you're clutching something to your side. We see your vision look backwards, and your footsteps actually start to speed up, and then that kind of moment fades. And then we come up to another moment, and we see a pile of drow, dwarger, and gnomish bodies, and even some human ones in a large pile. And we just see a couple more just boom, boom, drop onto this pile. And we see these shadowy forms. We can't make out what they are approaching, and we see the bodies being pulled away. You see yourself actually going forward, picking up one of these bodies and starting to pull them away. We drop that vision, and we see a long stone table atop which a body sits, a human body. We see that its clothes have been pulled away. It almost looks like a gunnery, like a surgery room. And we see your hands picking through the belongings of this person, and you pull out a book. We see what looks like a component pouch beside it, a small wand, but this book catches your eye. And we can feel your heart starting to beat faster at the sight of this book. And then that vision fades, and we appear back in that hall, and now we hear what sounds like running, and then that vision fades again, and we see a very small dark cavern with a little bit of candlelight illuminating a small area, though once again it's not needed. And we see this hunched form, and we hear the flipping of pages. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. And then that fades, and then we hear yelling, and then we hear what sounds like sounds of combat. And then we hear a scream. As the two of you look into this room, you see Sephel sitting on the floor against a far back wall. You see that there's a number of small bugs illuminating the room like fireflies. Just enough for you guys to see it. And you see that Sephel's form has been bound with spiderweb-like silk around its torso, and you see his body shifting back and forth. You look upon his face, and you see the skin is just crawling and morphing and moving around like there's something underneath it. Sephel, your eyes open. And for the first time, maybe, you feel like you can really see. You notice that the darkness in here only appears to be gray. But you see the lights, and you see a odd opening, a small opening, and you see the two faces of your companions brightly lit. And then you feel itchy all over, and your face itches and it burns, and all of a sudden things just feel too tight. And then you guys see all of a sudden as the skin on his face just starts to rip, and a long purple tentacle slides out, just and then another one rips out, followed by a third, and then a fourth. You see spiders starting to come, and they start removing the silk. And Sephel, your arms come up, and you start, like, itching at your skin. You can't stop, but you see these odd tentacles hanging in front of your face, and you're clutching your face, and you're starting to wipe it. And you just see your skin coming off in just clumps. And you guys watch as you now see this purple-skinned, 4-tentacle-faced creature in front of you. Both of you make an Arcana check for me.
That's a 15 over here.
Okay.
10.
All right. Indigo, you've heard of these. You've read about them in tomes from your friends. Sephel is an illithid, otherwise known as a mind flayer. Sephel, what are you thinking?
I imagine there is a moment of a mix of the most agonizing irritation and also abject fear as he is at a certain point just peeling away chunks of skin. Not like almost as a compulsion, not as a conscious thought, but as a need to literally crawl out of his skin. And he is, I imagine, in the throes of that flashing while he was wrapped up, these visions that you described are slamming into his mind, and he's trying to make sense of them as he's writhing and not quite in consciousness, and all of this information is flooding in, and as soon as it becomes physical, things start to connect until he is sitting there in his robes, sort of shaking out the rest of the skin that has just detached itself, and there's almost a shocked calmness as he takes in his own reality that has shifted so abruptly.
Well, fuck!
That is not Sephel.
What's easy?
Indigo turns the page in his book.
Yeah.
And starts just like a new page of sketches. Just like, hey, you remember when you were telling us about the ancestral enemies of your people? We got them both!
What? And you see the Culturid move forward and peer in, and it like takes a step back, reeling. You can't sense like real facial or like what it's necessarily thinking or feeling, because its face doesn't really move other than the mandibles. But it kind of like walks away a little bit. They are still here after all this time. And it seems genuinely conflicted, and Bupito's like, what's wrong? What's happening?
Well, we really shouldn't judge people by their appearances. It's just that I feel a little guilty about making fun of Sephel so often. But on the bright side, gonna need fresh material. Having a little makeover, which is just fun for him. How you doing in there?
I need my staff.
Lara is holding the staff, and looking at Indigo and looking at Sephel, air quotes. Indigo, clearly our captors have swapped Sephel for another being. This is impossible.
I mean, I'm not trying to contest your judgment, Lara. I just don't see why they would do that. Let's just propose a simple test. Hey, Stool, can you come here?
Yeah, what's up?
And if you have a second, can you just poke your head in there? And then, Sephel, you say the first thing that comes to your mind.
You see Stool come forward, and all of a sudden, eject those spores, and they start to like fade through the room. You can see them kind of creeping through the air towards you, Sephel.
Remove that vile creature from my presence. I need my staff.
Yeah, it's him. Definitely him. Still
Yeah,
hates
that does
me.
sound like him.
Yeah. What's interesting, Indigo, for you, now that you hear Sephel's voice, is it does sound the same, but it almost has like this double timbre that kind of like echoes through your mind a little bit.
I will hand over everything to Indigo. If you believe that's him, then you can hand it to him.
Okay. Stool, can you hold my book?
I don't have arms.
I mean,
I'll hold it.
oh, okay. I just, you could have done a bouncy. It's fine. It's fine. Okay.
You can put it on my head.
I'll
That's fine.
Okay. It's just fun. Sorry, Lara. I'll step in holding Sephel's belongings. Well, there's a lot of questions. There's a whole interview we can do later, and I have some sketches that I think will be really interesting. But here's your staff, and also your bag, which I hope has other clothes in it.
You see, he lifts his arms from his side. He was sort of analyzing them, and as opposed to the human hand that he had, there are only 3 fingers and a thumb now, and they are significantly larger than they were last you saw him. And they shoot out and they grab the book, while when you get close enough, his tentacles actually reach out and wrap around the staff and kind of pull it from your grasp. And he takes it with the other hand from there. And he's sort of this whole time in this sense of awe, but also complete glee as he's testing out his physical capabilities and coming to terms with what this is.
You seem pretty chill about this whole thing.
It feels natural. Let me try something. And he seems to begin to focus. Extremely difficult. Like his eyes just stare forward and narrow, and his tentacles actually tense up and curl inward. And both you and Lara hear in your mind what almost sounds like sound, but then just turns into a high-pitched whine, like when you put the audio cord right inside the port but don't actually plug it in. It's just this high-pitched dissonance. And you notice that Sephel is feeling it too. He flinches and pulls back, and the sound fades away. That should have been different. I'm not sure how. Feels wrong. Where have we fallen?
Oh, well, that is super lucky. We are in just the most delightful, just fungal jungle, if you will. We have a very nice host who has not told us their name, that we have also not asked. A very friendly insectoid fellow who has been taking very nice care of us for the last about 10 minutes.
Sephel will kind of reach past Indigo, like wrap his long curled fingers around the edge of the lip that he was in and kind of pull himself out into the space.
Sure.
and you see now his full form, standing, still hunched, but about 6 feet, and he's just kind of looking around, taking in the space, seeing who and what's there.
Make an insight check for me.
Okay. 13.
Okay. You notice the large insectoid-like creature that they spoke of, and they turn towards you as you kind of exit out of this little holding cell that they had you in, and you see the wooden-like staff they were holding. They kind of hold it across them, not necessarily in a threatening manner, but more of a, I'm nervous to be around you, and I feel like I need this in front of me to protect myself. And you actually see all the others, all your NPC companions. You see Eldith, she actually takes like a step back and her eyes are wide in horror. You see Sarith, like extremely puzzled but a bit wary. You see Topsy and Turvy, they actually like run behind Eldith and are kind of like peering out around her at you. And then you see Bupido, and you're not exactly sure what's kind of going across their face, but it's a definite mix of anger and a little bit of sadness almost. But you can't pick up too much more, but it seems like they're dealing with a lot as you come out. And you get the general sense in this large cavern from your companions is they're frightened of you. Oh, but Stool is right next to you and is like rubs on your leg, and he's just like, I'm so happy to have you back, Sephel. It was so quiet.
Like pushes him aside with his foot.
And he just waddles back next to you.
There is obviously much that needs to be learned from this situation. There are things that feel natural about this circumstance, and others that seem very, very wrong. And the first thing he's going to do actually is kind of grab his bag and look through for his book.
You do find it. It is there.
Okay. He kind of flips through to find that page that he needed. Looks at it, inspects it, gets like a quick flash of maybe the tiniest piece of one of those visions, and just I don't know what it would look like to see an illithid grin, but there is definitely a curl to the mouth that would express happiness or satisfaction.
I imagine it would be somewhat difficult, but also you describe it. Like, how animated are these tentacles? Do you often see the mouth underneath?
They are... I mean, I think of them as each tentacle is... I believe illithid tentacles are prehensile, which I kind of went with grabbing the staff. But I imagine each of them kind of has like almost a Doc Ock personality, where they're very reactive to his emotions and his demeanor, and so when he's speaking or just kind of moving, they sort of move with him, almost like they're constantly underwater, just like being moved by the flow, but of their own volition, unless he has something specific he wants to do with them. So yeah, there's definitely a curl to the mouth. The tentacles sort of curl inward on themselves and like widen in what would be the closest, but obviously for everybody else, the most disturbing display of happiness that you've probably ever seen. He seems very happy that certain piece of information is there, and he makes note of it, stashes it, and puts his things back in his bag.
Okay.
Sephel, is this something you've done before? Is this you? I'm struggling to comprehend what is happening.
I am also strangely unsure. Things are fuzzy. It feels natural. The skin was itching. And he like sort of grabs at his face again, like the phantom feeling of the peeling skin is there. But also, I have no recollection of this form, or much beyond the past few weeks, if I am honest.
Does Indigo, does that you know about these Sephel's do you know what's happening?
Indigo is like leaning on the cave wall, like book still on Stool's head, but like sketching rapidly all like the various contortions of Sephel's tentacles. I mean, I know a little about things about mind flayers. This is what they look like. I am I've never met one before, so this is all very new, and I'm not sure exactly how they come about, but I guess they
I would
pop out of the skin of other people.
I think we need to find a healer.
You see
I'm right here.
Bukido,
I mean, you don't have to be so coy.
You see Sephel Bukido actually approaching you cautiously, and you actually see from like behind their kind of like raggedy tunic, they pull out a flint-like dagger, and they're just kind of holding it in their hand, and they're squinting at you, and many of my race are like this because of your kind. Are there more of you? Are there secrets you're withholding from us?
If there are, they are currently withheld from myself as well.
Make a persuasion check.
Yeah, he's real charismatic. Ooh, natural 20. I like this die. I once bought the right dice.
He's studying you intently, and then he lowers the fist with the dagger in it and looks even more puzzled and goes, "Curious, you seem to be truthful, so you are disconnected from the hive. How odd. I will be watching you, though, Sephel. I will not be entangled by your mind."
He seems like he didn't pay too much attention to the last part. As soon as the word disconnected came out, it almost hurt him. Like you see him reel and focus, and his brain his subconscious is reacting to a stimulus that means nothing to him, but it struck something.
These are strange circumstances, to be sure. Are you able to move and fight Sephel? Obviously, we can find you a healer and work out what's happening, but we should probably keep moving.
My motor functions are not impaired. Hold. He sort of looks to one of the mushrooms nearby and flicks his finger and casts Celestial Burst at it.
It works. But you do see the insectoid grow rather agitated at you doing that.
I seem to be otherwise fine, barring my physical developments. We should move.
Indigo, does your friend know where we should go next?
Oh, that's great. Hey, what's your name, friend? Thank you so much, by the way, for helping us and not killing our friend here. It's very kind of you.
We warned there could be more trouble from them. Evil, wicked people. Slavers. Torturers. Devourers of brains. I am Brilanira. And I must find my people. I will show you way upwards. But land...
Oh, that would be great.
Land has shifted. Might not have same paths. And you actually see the others kind of chime up at this, and Eldith is like, well, this is a bit odd. Where exactly are we to be going? Because I don't know my way around here. I certainly don't know where this Culturid is trying to take us. Sarith, do you have anything to say? Are you even topsy-turvy Bupito? And Sarith kind of shakes her head and it's like, no, not unless we are trying to go back to Menzo Baranzan, and we don't want to go there. And Topsy and Turvy say, well, it's mostly Topsy that kind of pops up. She goes, I do know the way to Bligden Stone. The us Snaffled blends might be able to help. Perhaps our leaders could point you in the right direction, but we might have to cross quite a bit to get there. I don't know this area at all. We might need to climb higher as we fell who knows how far. And Bupito also pipes up, I would prefer to visit Gracklestug. Though that is close to Bligdenstone, I have friends there that I am in good need of. And he turns to the three of you. Do you have anything against the Dwagger?
Come again?
The dark dwarves, the deep dwarves, the others just like me, but slightly more whole. They escaped. And he looks at Sephel. The Flayer's grasps longer than mine were able to. They have a great city, Gracklestug. It is more akin to a giant smithy here beneath the earth. There are others of the Darrow there. You might find more of what you're looking for, a greater purpose, perhaps, maybe even answers to this one's quandaries. And he's looking at you again, Sephel. The gnomes might have something for you, but it is a long ways. Any of them could be. So do you take the path to the dwarves and chance, suspicion, and possible containment, unless we give them something they want? We could travel by the Dark Lake if we manage to find it, as my bearings are also a bit askew at the moment. Perhaps we can use this Colterid to help guide us further along.
Well, I gotta say, there's a whole bunch to learn down here, so I would certainly like to stick around and see what there is, and maybe we can help our friend Sephel figure out what their whole deal is. So, yeah, Gracklestug sounds great. As long as we eventually get to go to the Grove for Stool.
Absolutely!
I think we're safer together. So I think the longer we can stay together, the better we'll be.
Perhaps after we make a stop in Gracklestug, we could make it to Bligdenstone. It seems Topsy and Turvy are quite certain that they might know a way to get back to the surface. I need to be getting home to my family as soon as possible. I don't really have any inclination to stay here.
All right. Oh, we'll make our way with our culted to the friends, and where they suggest we go, and we'll find our way to Lingdenston or Gracklestug, whatever comes up first, and we'll go to the second after, and we'll figure out where the Grove is after that.
Sounds agreeable. Anywhere away from the City of Spiders, it's fine by me. And the twins kind of nod, and Eldith says, well, it sounds a little bit of a long ways, but it's true, we're probably safer in numbers here. So be it.
As long as we're going up.
Okay.
I need answers to this situation before returning to the surface. As it has been made apparent, this change is surprising and disturbing to everyone. And I need clarity on things.
Okay. So you guys are going to try and make your way to Gracklestug first.
Lara's gonna push for Lindenston first.
Lingdenstone? Okay.
Yeah, whichever one is. It sounded like that one was closest to the surface, whereas Gracklestug didn't really sound as helpful to Lara. But whichever one comes first, like.
Well, that's the thing. You guys.
If there's ever like a.
Yeah, you guys don't necessarily know. That's the whole problem. Like, how the fuck do you get it back? You have no real bearings down here. You know, clearly. Brillanira, the Colterid, knows at least some of the way upwards. And then maybe if the others are able to get their bearings, Topsy and Turvy sound like they could lead you to Ligdenstone, where the other deep gnomes are kind of residing. Bupito says they know the way to both the Dark Lake and Gracklestug, the large Dwagger city, and then Sarth is basically able to tell you where not to go for Menzo Berenzin. And then, Stool's like, let's go to the Grove. I don't know how to get there, though. So it's really, really your call, but it's clear that you have to, or you might need to follow Brillanira for at least a little bit.
Yeah, I think heading to whichever city comes up first is ideal, and I'm sure that we can get more information once we're there on both our location and Sephel's status.
Yeah. Okay. As you guys are kind of like gathering all these supplies, getting ready for potentially however long this trip could be, you actually see Brillanira talking and like muttering to numerous insects, and you see them going off and actually tending to the stalks where you guys have cut, and it seems to kind of like be helping them create new growth, kind of settling things back into the earth. And you see them actually directing quite a few of the larger insects. You actually see like some giant centipedes and other like creatures coming out of some of the holes where some of the husks of the other culturids actually being drawn back in, and seems like he's kind of performing a like ritualistic last rite over this place before they start ushering you all towards a section of the cavern close to the cell where Sephel was kept. And they turn to you and they say, there will be much to do, but there was old, ancient resting place of... And it has to like switch over to primordial for a moment because it can't think of the word in Elvish. And Sephel, you pick it up and it's like... It says giant stronghold. And then it kind of switches back into the Elvish. Long abandoned, but very wary. There could be new dangers that lurk within it. And they put their large three-fingered hand upon the wall, and you see the earth starting to kind of like crumble, and you see a very large tunnel that leads into the darkness. And you see Brillanira step into it, and you see it opens its like beetle-like shell, and these large kind of like older looking wings kind of flutter a little bit, and you see more of these like fireflies kind of come out and starting to illuminate the tunnel. And you guys enter in, ready to make your way to Cracklestud, Bligdenstone, the Neverlight Grove, who knows? And that's where we'll leave it this week.
Hey everybody, this is Sam Conklin. I voiced Lara in the Madness Table. We are so delighted to have you here. Thank you so much for listening to our dinky little podcast. We pour our hearts into this, so to have you here is just, it's the world. If you haven't already, we have a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Madness Table. You can also shoot us an email at themadnesstable@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, love to hear how you're enjoying the show, any questions you have for the characters. We might even shout you out in some future post show notes. So please do so. If you're loving the podcast, we would just adore you if you shared it with a friend. And that's it. So we'll see you in 2 weeks for our next episode when...